Okay, welcome everybody back to Steve Talks Boxing X, STBX. And on this week's show, we are talking about this weekend's WBC, WBA, WBO, not IBF, mind you, super middleweight clash in Canelo Alvarez against Edgar Berlanga. And joining me this week is Amit Champaneri. How are you, Amit?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Yeah, delighted to be back on.
Yeah, brilliant to have you. My first question for you is, this fight clashes with UFC in Vegas on the same night. Do you think that was a good move?
Not for UFC, it seems. Yeah, they've had a bit of difficulty, haven't they? I mean, it's always a bit of a shame when you have two big nights. Obviously, normally boxing clashes obviously even worse, but you know, UFC is huge, MMA is huge, certainly in the US. So it seems a bit of a shame to have them on the same night. But Canelo's Canelo. He's the biggest draw in boxing pretty much. So he decides when he wants to fight, and that's his date. And so yeah, but it's not ideal for both. Pay-per-view will struggle. Pay-per-view will definitely be affected one way or another. But it's just who's going to fill the stadium, right? That's the key. The stands.
It's the ticket sales. I heard this week that they've actually reduced prices on the UFC tickets to obviously boost some sales. So they're showing a bit signs of desperate measures there.
Yeah, I think production costs are huge for UFC, obviously, and look, normally they wouldn't be competing against someone like Canelo. You know, I think any other fighter in the US it wouldn't be as impactful, but Canelo is, he's a superstar. So I'm not surprised. I'm sure it's a learning curve. As big as UFC are and as big as Dane in what he's done there, but yeah, I mean it's a big competition taking on Canelo in boxing.
Sure. According to the estimates, this could cause the UFC up to a loss of 20 million that night. Dana White, must he be happy?
I mean, I don't think he's ever had anything for this before, has he? You know, I think what Dana White has done for the US is incredible. And let's face it, as a model, one champion per class, there's a lot to envy, certainly from boxing where we've got. Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about sanctioning bodies shortly, Steve, but it's a bit of a mess, let's face it, isn't it? And at times in boxing, and you only have to listen to the likes of Eddie Hearn and others. That model is the dream, what he's created there. But yeah, I think this is the one time where unfortunately he's in a bit of a loss. So it's a big hit.
Yeah, I like Oscar De La Hoya. I also saw a video of him last week. He always likes to chuck his 10p's worth in, especially when Canelo fights, saying he's bought tickets to the UFC just to rub it in a bit more. Do you think Canelo cares, really?
Rent-free comes to mind in Oscar's head, right? I mean, let's face it, Canelo doesn't care. Like, he's moved on. He left Oscar. Oscar's got this weird bee in his bonnet. And it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Like, I think this thing with Oscar, as a fighter, we all loved him. What an entertainer, truly one of the best of his era. Fought everybody, absolute warriors. And promoters have been a bit more hit and miss. But nowadays, his rants are just, they're just and his obsession with Canelo is a bit sad. And also, I believe Dana White's not giving him a free ticket either. I'm sure he can afford it, to be fair. But made that point. So it's a shame.
Yeah, we've seen all sorts of weird stuff on social media from Oscar. I think it's getting worse and worse as it gets older, I think. I thought you're immature maybe a bit, but...
No, it's like he's been let loose, I think, if anything. He's like, I can do what I like. And yeah, I mean, his Instagram is... an interesting place to say the least.
Yeah, so, with his designer six-pack as well. So I must get me.
Probably cost him a fortune, Steve. As long as
I was going to say I must get me one of them for next summer. So that'd be the plan anyway. Going back to the fight itself, this is not the fight all Canelo, fight fans wanted, let alone Canelo fans wanted, right?
Yeah, I think it's a fair shout, Steve. Look, Berlanga's kind of. Just seems to be like, in terms of for the money, for the ease, to degree he's an upcoming fighter. He's got a good knockout percentage, but let's face it, the fans wanted Canelo to fight. The Benavidez is obviously the one that most people would love to see. If you could pick a fight right now, that would be, just think about the story of that, and also look, he is young, he's tall, rangy, packs a punch. It'd be a hell of a test for Canelo. And obviously, you got the conversation around Crawford as well. Bivol's got in there. So look, I think maybe Munguia wasn't exactly like absolutely testament of an amazing fight. So I think Berlanga is it's definitely not one that anyone would really have chosen if they could have.
Sure. Do you think we're ever going to see Canelo versus Crawford? Do you think money's going to eventually make that fight?
That's a key word, isn't it? But I think with Turki Al-Sheikh and the investment he's putting in, when he wants a fight being made, he puts it on. I think the biggest difference here is for Turki Al-Sheikh, as he's found, is that Canelo is his own boss and he doesn't necessarily fall into that. I think there was respect there, and there's a bit of a falling out, and there's been a messaging going on over X and whatever else. But money talks. I mean, Crawford, you can tell he wants it. It's a huge fight for him. It'll be a retirement payday really for Crawford, and all comes down to legacy, right? For Canelo, if he's about legacy, if he, Crawford's got to come up a lot to face him. I mean, let's face it, Canelo's much bigger. Beats him, it's a hell of a legacy fight, but he does what he likes. He's his own boss. So, but money talks, Steve. Money talks.
Yeah,
I mean, you kind of want to see it.
Definitely. Talking about Canelo, 34, he is running his own promotion. People saying that he's cherry-picking opponents in Berlanga as well. I'm guessing. Do you agree with that then? Cherry-picking Canelo?
Yeah, I think the moment he kind of ruled out Benavidez and Bivol obviously has got a huge fight coming up himself. One of the biggest fights in boxing against Beterbiev. So I think when you look at who else, he's got his dates that he has every year, and this is one of them. And Berlanga was an easy make. He's going to get paid well. It's got a story with a Puerto Rico link and other things. He's a bit of a talker. So. But yeah, no doubt that he's cherry picked to a degree, and but that bit like Mayweather, that he can choose who he wants to fight. He's at that stage of his career. He's that much of a superstar. So people are still going to watch it, they're still going to buy it,
pay for it. Yeah, exactly that. We've already seen them clash at the press conference. Do you think there's a genuine dislike to each other, or is that a bit of show really for them?
I think Canelo's a bit annoyed. Probably is the way I'd say it. I think Berlanga's doing what he's doing. He's trying to get under his skin. I think the Munguia one was interesting because I think there's quite a lot of respect there. There wasn't a lot of like aggro. And I think Berlanga's like, look, what have I got a chance here? I've got to upset him. I've got to make him, be furious. Hopefully he can come in that fight, not be as focused, just be, vengeful and make something of it. So I think he's just putting a lot into it, and he's done a good job to fair Berlanga. He's handled himself well, to be honest with you. But I think Canelo's more just annoying. So there's hate there. Yeah, you don't really want to annoy Canelo. I mean, like Canelo being annoyed. It's not a good idea for most fighters, right? I was
going to say it may not be the smartest move, really, isn't it? Really, an angry Canelo.
I won't recommend it.
Yeah, it may not be the smartest move. You already touched upon Mexico versus Puerto Rico element of the fight, and it's on Mexican Independence Day weekend. How much do you think that's going to add to the occasion?
Huge fights from years gone by. I mean, Cotto, Trinidad, they've had some absolute superstars of boxing in Puerto Rico, and obviously there's been a lot of clashes from obviously with Mexican counterparts, warriors generally, going there to fight battles, like this is about who's going to be his cojones. It's that sort of thing, right? So it adds spice to it, and I think they've played on that and played on it well. I think it's a great, two very passionate, historic, nations in boxing. I think it adds to it, Steve. It's nice side story.
It's going to be something special, isn't it? Really. So
it's obviously crowd, and they're going to have a lot of support tonight. I think it's positioned.
I would say to my Mexican fight fans, we're quite close on our passionate level of boxing passion. Maybe they inch it a bit. From a biased point of view of me anyway. So, but obviously Mexican fans are very passionate about their fighters and the Puerto Ricans as well. Having said that, Berlanga was quoted saying, "I know what it takes to become that. The skill, the will, the stardom, the charisma, the look, the ticket sales. I got the whole package." I'll take it that he's pretty confident going into the fight.
I think he just knows it's his moment, Steve. Like, like, is he going to get another shot like this against, let's face it, the biggest superstar in boxing? I mean, there's not many fights that get that, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. was linked to it. I mean, he'd been talking a good game as well, right? I mean, it's that sort of thing with Canelo. You step up, and I think this is all a part of his tactics. He's trying to really show that, look, I'm ready, and he's got nothing to lose. So you can kind of talk the game. He's young, he's fresh, and he's just trying to get into his skin. So I think it's great. I think it's great to see the confidence. Honestly, it's good to see.
Yeah, do you think he's enjoying the limelight as well? Because obviously he's not experienced this before, has he? Really, on this sort of, when you fight Canelo, regardless who you are, you just, thrown to the front, really.
You can't the show, aren't you? Really, it's the biggest occasion and probably the biggest payday for most opponents. So I mean, I think this is something where whatever he goes on to do in his career after this fight, he's going to be much more prepared. There's not many shows like this. Again, I'll go back to Mayweather. It's as Mayweather-like as possible, Canelo. So I think it's going to stand him in good stead. But he is. Why not? He's making most of the occasion. But yeah, experience is that key word, isn't it? He's never been through anything like this. We'll see what he's like in fight week. We'll obviously fight with a few days before. Let's see if it starts to dawn on him a little bit. But maybe not. Maybe it will.
Well, I'm thinking if he does fare well against Canelo, puts in a decent performance, it does open up other fights for him. But obviously, if it goes the other way, gets completely battered, then obviously, maybe not. So
that's the risk. Yeah, it's the risk, isn't it? Yeah, and I think for the money he's going to get and the fact that he gets to fight, Canelo, you take that risk, don't you? But yeah, I mean, look, he'll knock him back a bit, but let's face it, he'll be back in the mix. He's very young. He'll come back, and Canelo's not going to be around forever, right? So there will be opportunities in the future to get back into the fold when there's more of an even playing field.
Yeah, sure. Berlanga has 70 knockouts in 22 fights. Does he stand a puncher's chance, would you say, Amit? I know every boxer technically stands a puncher's chance, but against Canelo.
Yeah, I mean, Canelo's just takes shots. Look at his neck. I mean, like, the guy has been hit by many great fighters, Golovkin and others, and he's not budged. But it's about age, Steve. When do you see the punches coming? I think that's the key, right? If Canelo can see the punch coming to knock him out, whatever power you've got, it's going to be tough. But is this it's about timing now? Who's going to time it right to take on Canelo and have that chance? And as you say, he's got power, so. He's got to start quick, right? He's got to start quick. And if you've got power, which he does, he packs a punch. He's got a good knockout ratio there. You want to try and get him cold. So on that basis, I think, you got to think his chance of winning will be by some sort of KO. I mean, to win on points against
in Vegas, it's not happening, is it, really? So regardless, even if you had knockdowns, you probably still won't win on the cards against Canelo.
Yeah, there'll be some way, I'm sure, for Canelo to still get through.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to go back to, you mentioned Canelo's chin. Would you say he's got one of the best chins in boxing?
Still has, Steve. I mean, like, the guy is just imperious, isn't he? Like, he's taking shots. And look, obviously, since the Mayweather loss, where obviously he got taught a lesson, but he's very young. And it's not like Mayweather was a massive puncher, so he took a lot of shots that night. But what he's learned is his defense has got so much better, his movement, and look what his career. This is a guy who's fought so many amazing fighters, and he's been in with some of the biggest punchers around in Kovalev and others, and he's just dealt with them. And of course, he's been caught clean, but he's never ever seems to have taken a backward step. So. But again, it's about timing, isn't it? Like, he's not young. He's getting towards the end, and it's the punches you can't see. If you can still see them, who's going to stop him? I mean, look, he can be out. He can be out boxed, but knocked out. I mean, you probably put in possibly Benavidez in that sort of category.
I was going to say it would take a sort of fight.
But any of the others, not.
Yeah, sure. Berlanga in his first world title fight as well. How much of a jump up would this be for him, experience-wise, do you think?
I mean, it's astronomical, Steve, isn't it? I mean, like he's, I know he's beaten Jason Quigley, he's beaten some decent opponents, but are any of them been like elite world class? I mean, Canelo is obviously, pound for pound still in there. He's obviously undisputed champ. Forget the belts, he's the champion at his weight. So it's a humongous step up. This is why it would be an almighty shock. Let's face it. So I think that it's a humongous jump, but again, comes down to timing. But tough gig, really. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. I did look at Berlanga's list of opponents and there's no one near to sort of maybe Canelo's level you can even compare them to. So it's an interesting one, and like I said, fair play to him. He stepped up for the opportunity and he's grabbed it as well. So
absolutely,
yeah, fair play. Canelo, on the other hand, should have been defending all the belts, undisputed champion, but the IBF stripped him of that. He found the fight against William School. Do you think he'd be bothered by that, not having the IBF?
No, and I wish more fighters are like it, Steve. I think, look, in for many years they've the sanctioning bodies, it's just confusing to most people. And look, it's great. Look, people want the belts, but I think when you're an established superstar like the likes of Canelo, Crawford, and others, like you just don't need the belts. Like I'll be on realistically, and Tequila Shake's role now in boxing is about making the beast fights, and now you're finding that sanctioning bodies want to get their belt on the line because they want to be part of the show. So everyone knows he's the best. He's the best at his weight. Everyone knows he's the world champion. Belts or no belts, and I know the ring belt is meant to do that, right? But it's still a bit hit and miss. But I think the sooner the obsession with sanctioning bodies stops, the better. I think it's different when you're an up-and-coming fighter and you're coming through. Something like Berlanga, imagine that getting everyone wants that strap, right? And everyone wants to be a world champion. Yeah. I think when you get into the stage, like Canelo and others, where you're at you've kind of done it. It's about making fights, about making legs, and making the money. Is he going to be that bothered? No. I mean, we're seeing it, with AJ and Dubois. Look, they're fighting for a title, the belt.
But
IBF again. What was that Usyk's coming out?
Yeah, I know. Usyk was very kind in doing that as well, wasn't he? So he really
because he just because the undisputed title for undisputed is undisputed. Everyone knows that him and Fury is still the number 1 and 2. Whoever wins it is going to be the best heavyweight in the world. Doesn't matter what happens in the other fights. So, and I think I read that IBF are doing a similar thing with Boots Ennis now. They're trying to get him to fight someone he's already fought and beaten. It's just
really
madness.
Wow.
Stick to these, and they do have a hold. But Canelo, no, he doesn't care. He's still making money. He's still he's been undisputed. He's got the belt. He's done it all, Steve. He's not fussed.
Yeah, I agree. It should be a point where the fights matter more than the belts, really. So, and if boxing was like that, it'd be hell a lot easier, wouldn't it, to make those fights as well, without the sanctioning bodies, making you do your compulsory defenses, and so makes it a hell of a lot easier. Ring walk's expected for 4 a.m. for us in the UK. You staying up for this one, Amit?
I stayed up for the Crawford fight because it's
good going.
Actually, I went for I think I had a little nap. I'll be honest, I had a power nap, Steve. I've got a young one. I've got a 4-year-old.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Soon after that fight, so I got up and watched that one. Yeah, I have to say, it's a tricky one, isn't it, with the US fights now, particularly, a bit later in age. I think I'm thinking this one's going to be wake up at a decent hour, normal time, avoid anything on social media and just watch it. That's probably going to be my battle plan, as opposed to getting up for 4 a.m. for this one.
I'm totally with you on that. I think next day, nice cup of coffee in front of the TV, enjoy it, rather than try and wake up half asleep or stay up half asleep.
Stay up.
Stay up. I'm too old for that nowadays. To be honest with you, I like my sleep. Going back to the fight itself, I know you touched on that a bit earlier. How do you see the fight actually going?
I just think Berlanga's got to get in there quick. I think he'll start quick. He'll try and get Canelo's respect pretty quickly. I think it's the only chance he's got, and I think he will. I think he'll try and do that. I think that's how it'll play out. I think Canelo's going to just keep back and watch what unfolds against him. What Canelo's done incredibly well is that he's just got to measure his opponent. I remember the Amit Khan fight when he was starting fast and he was catching Canelo, but at Canelo's time, he worked it out. And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see Berlanga coming out. The issue with that is that if he comes out, he can get caught because he's been hurt. So it's one of them ones. I think realistically he's going to come out. I think Canelo's going to get a measure of him. I don't think Canelo's going to come out and try and blast him out quickly. He'll take his time. You've seen it in the last few fights. He's been winning by unanimous decision. Been winning on decision. He's been quite patient.
Yeah.
That's how I see it unfolding. It's just when Canelo wants to step on the gas. That's how it's all going to play out in my eyes.
I always see Canelo almost like stalking his opponents, like working them out, stalking them, waiting, and then boom, and then and it comes naturally. His work rate's there as well, isn't it? He's got a phenomenal work rate as well. He doesn't waste many shots as well. So
no, and when he does land, even when he lands in your arms, as Callum Smith found and others, like those punches hurt. Like he's hitting you at any occasion. He's such a solid puncher. He's not a knockout. His record shows he's not a one punch knockout. It's about just consistent barrage and.
John Ryder fight as well, isn't it? Really,
it's just over time, wasn't it? But again, Ryder took them, but it was just a hammering from, it's almost like a worse way. If you're getting put down and stopped, you're taking less of a beating really against what can happen. So he just, like you said, doesn't waste much, and he's just got smarter. He's got a lot smarter as he's gone on in his career, and again, a bit like Mayweather, he's learned a lot from Mayweather with Canelo.
Yeah, I think so. The Mayweather blueprint. So, I wouldn't mind a bit of Mayweather money as well. So, if you're watching Mayweather, hook me up.
Hey, sponsor time, absolutely. Yeah,
definitely. Finally, your prediction for the fight?
Yeah, I think I'm eking. I think smart money. If you're going to put your money on it, it'll just be a sort of points win for Canelo with relative ease. But no, I think there's a bit of spite in him this time. I think he's got something to prove. I think Berlanga's been running his mouth a lot. I think he wants to make a statement. So I think Berlanga will start quick. Canelo will get a measure of him, and I can see probably a stoppage or the ref jumping in around sort of 8th, 9th round, Steve. Yeah, because I think his last KO I think he stopped Caleb Plant. I think that was the last one. So that was a while ago now. Yeah. So I think he's due a stoppage, and he wants to obviously build for this next big fight. So I'm actually going to go for a stoppage.
A late stoppage, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sort of mid to late. I mean, anything sort of 6 onwards, but I'd say maybe 8, 9. But smart money would probably be just another solid points win.
Solid points win, yeah. Who would you like? I'll say like the winner to fight next. Well, obviously, you mentioned Canelo. So who would you like him? Is that a silly question? Is it, Amit?
I mean, we all want Benavidez, don't we?
Yeah,
we do. I think it's the one. It's the one that we all want, purely because the size, the heritage of Mexico, all those things, I think, and we know that Benavidez can punch. He didn't look amazing in his last fight. He did what he had to do, right? But at times it's spectacular. So does Bivol really appeal? I mean, he just masterclass really, and even if he gets beaten by Beterbiev, he's going in there probably as slight. I think Beterbiev is probably the favorite. So would I want to see that again? I think it'd be tough for Canelo to turn that around. And the Crawford one, look, it's just intriguing, isn't it? Because it's just how I think in this day and age where money does talk, you're going to see fighters jumping weights, but that seems so far. And even in his
jump,
it's a huge jump. But would you say no to a Crawford Canelo fight? Probably not. I think it's still be intriguing. But yeah, if you ask me which one would I choose, I think like most fans, you go for Benavidez.
Yeah, I think all fans want that fight next. The fight has a great undercard as well, Amit. It includes, you mentioned Plant there, Fullerton, Rowley's fighting on it. Pay-per-view American fans, they're probably getting a bit more ripped off than us. $89 is $19.99 in the UK, and I think they've even done the reduction for the Zone subscribers this week, some sort of discount. Do you think that's good value for us UK fans?
Yeah, I think it's tricky with US cards. I think the trickiness is that when the Zone started off, these are the sort of cards, to be honest with you, that they weren't doing pay-per-view on. And I think for US fights, it's a tricky one to kind of have pay-per-view for all of them. I think the Crawford one was a bit different because it was part of Riyadh season. They stacked the card. I think this is a good card. I think they've got to really think about the discount measure. Like, I'm a DAZN annual subscriber, so any sort of saving on that will be more enticing. But compared to the US, it's always going to be valuable, Steve, isn't it? But look, it's a good card, but there's a lot of big fights coming up. Like a lot of pay-per-view fights. Where do you get money? Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we haven't got endless, funds to kind of spend money on pay-per-view fights. So you got to choose.
I was going to say, did you like the idea of what Turkey Al-Sheikh talking about the pricing and reducing the price on the pay-per-views for future shows? We've already got $19.99 for the AJ Dubois fight as well. So, and I think the future ones, even better Bivol is £15. I think it's $14.99. So that's more reasonable, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely. And then once upon a time, when obviously this will go way back, which we'll both remember, Steve, but it's like $12.95 or something, and you just kind of like that sort of price you like is fine. I think when it started to get the 20, 25 quid, it is a big difference. So I think if he's convinced to do him for like £15 around that time, he's going to get a lot more buys. Let's face it.
Yeah, right. And less people trying to stream it. It's got to be the way forward, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And if they want to stop that, and they want to stop that sort of activity, and people just going online and searching for it and all that sort of stuff, because you've got to remember with boxing, it's not like most sports. Like streaming is risky because. Do you really want to do that when one fight getting knocked out? You want to watch it on your screen, right? So like entice them with
the picture pauses or goes. You're like, no.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
I really think that but all of them, Sky Sports, all of them, TNT. Think about your audience. Think about your subscribers. At least give them the reduction if you're doing pay-per-view for a monthly subscriber. Just incentivize them to keep buying your stuff. Yeah.
One other fight, going back to the undercard, that's got my attention is Lara versus Garcia. I thought that was a cracking little fight on the undercard out of all them. I know we've got obviously big names there, but I thought that one. How do you see that one going if you have to pick a winner?
Yeah. Pretty even, isn't it, Steve? I think it's one of them ones where it's like, who's got the most left? It's one of them fights, isn't it? Because I mean, Garcia's not fought for a couple of years, I think. And obviously Lara, he's older than Garcia, isn't he? Which is incredible to think. It just shows how long Garcia's been around. But it's a trick, and I think this is definitely one that I would say it's all down to Garcia. Like he has got a ridiculous left hook. He's in his time, he could time punches so well, but is that still there? I think that's the key question. Even though Lara's slightly older, I think he's had less wear and tear in the ring, arguably. So you'd probably make Lara a slight favourite on points.
Really?
But yeah. I think that's what the odds are kind of saying as well. It just depends because it's 2 years out. That's the reason. I think if Garcia was active, that'd be different. I think as time's worn on, what's he got left? So I think you just go on that basis, really.
Sure. Yeah, it is an interesting fight. I thought out of all the undercard fights, I thought, that caught my attention. I thought so. Interesting one. Before you go, I always ask my guests a couple ending questions, Emmett. And next weekend we've got this big one: Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois coming up. Who wins? There you go. I'm going to put you on the spot.
We're in the spot. Well, look, I'm going to be there, Steve. I'm looking forward to it, and I believe you are as well. So it's going to be a big occasion. Yeah. And funny enough, after the Hrgovic fight, when Dubois won, and Hrgovic is a quality fighter, but Dubois was getting caught way too often. And I said it then, and I'm not going to change. I said it, and I'll say it now. I think AJ knocks him out within 5.
Within 5, wow, that's early.
Yeah, AJ with Ben Davison. I think that he's been crying out. Look, AJ was overanalyzing, doing all that stuff. What Ben's got, he's got a team that does that, and he's a quality coach. He's just getting the best. He's got him back to basics. He's got him time, and I think if Dubois is gonna he's going to get caught. He just fights for that style. I know he's got a punch as well, but no, I think it's going to be an early night for Dubois.
Yeah, I was going to say Dubois' guard is actually his face. I heard so.
Even Joe Joyce, they've got a similar routing boxing, it seems.
Yeah,
but yeah.
That's fair enough. I won't give my predictions yet. Got a couple shows.
Yeah, I was going to see you got your big show.
Yeah, we've got a couple shows coming next week. Other than that fight, what other fight are you looking forward to on the undercard?
I mean, Kakache versus Warrington.
Warrington, wow.
Yeah, I mean, particularly after that, I mean, I did not predict Kakache to win his last fight at all.
Yeah.
So, he's clearly got a punch. And we know Warrington's been hurt. He's been involved with some big punches, to be fair, to Warrington, to Josh. But that does have Barnstormer written all over, doesn't it? That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's a proper tear up, isn't it, really? So
proper tear up.
Interesting to see what Warrington's got left as well. I think Kakache's obviously got the momentum behind him at the moment. But yeah, Warrington's still a live and dangerous opponent, isn't he? So
he is, and he's got the experience, right? I think that's the key. It's like, and he says what he's got left. I think he just has this lapse of concentration, get caught, and obviously he can get hurt, which is shown. But look, he's a Leeds lad. I'm Leeds is my home. Gotta back him to get through this one. I mean, even as I think Tyler Denny versus Shiraz. I think Shiraz is just that jab of his is phenomenal. I mean, he's going to see fight. He's so tall. He's got world champion written all over him. It's just a matter of time. So I mean, it's a really good step up for him. Really good step up.
And Tyler Denny, I absolutely love Tyler Denny. He's one of my favorite fighters. I think exactly wise as well. And it's a remarkable story what he's landed here, fighting on the undercard at Wembley. Fair play to you. So
and what a fight, and with with the was it EBU, I think, title on the line. I mean, that fight against Cash brought the fight. So I think it's a really good matchup, and I think they both got more to go after this. But again, I think Shiraz is just on.
He's level
special. It's really special. Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's it for another show. Thank you, Amit, for your time. Really appreciate talking to you. Again, everyone out there, please support the channel your best you can with likes and subscriptions and comments. Comment below, see if you agree with Amit's predictions on the fights as well. But yeah, appreciate your time, Amit, and thank you.
Cheers, Steve.